Dear viewers, good afternoon. I'm CMG reporter, and today we are coming to Shennongjia of Hubei Province. And this place is called as the Green Lawns of the Central China and also the roof of the Central China. We have over 60 species here, and also we have over 137 categories of the animals, including some of the important rare species such as the golden snub-nosed monkey. And today we have a special guest joining us, Madame Wang, and she will also give us some introduction about the species. So here right now we can see some of the snub-nosed monkeys here. So now you can see it is golden for the fur. And also we have some mix of the white hair. So can you tell us more information about the snub-nosed monkey? So when they are infant monkeys and they are actually in gray color or in the black color, and when they grow up, and then for some of the furs will turn into the golden color. For example, for this one, it is an adult monkey, so it is a pure golden snub-nosed monkeys. So if you look at the color of the fur, you can check the age of the monkeys. So when they grow up, and then their furs will turn into golden color. So now you can see for this infant monkey, it is a gray color. So here you can see for some of these infant monkeys, they are at the age about 2 to 3 months. For the mother of the snub-nosed monkeys, they will get pregnant in September, and also they will give birth to these infant monkeys in about March or April. So their pregnancy time is about 7 months. It's pretty much similar to human beings. So for the infant monkeys and for these snub-nosed monkeys' mothers, and they will give birth to 1 or 2 infant monkeys max. So if we talk about the number of the infant monkeys, actually we know we have very limited monkeys. So in our site, we have about 106. 105. However, in the Dalongtan area, so in the Shennongjia area, we have over 1,600 snub-nosed monkeys. So we all know that for the golden snub-nosed monkeys, they would like to live in groups. For each families, they have one male monkey, but they have many female monkeys. So they are actually applying the polygamous mating system. And also, of course, we have some single monkeys, for sure. And for the adult monkeys, they have to compete with each other to get mated. If some of them, they are not able to have a partner or have a female monkey, and then they will turn into the single monkeys. So when the infant monkeys turn into the age of 2 or 3 months, and then they will try to push their infant monkeys to the group. And after they grow up, they will also compete with their parents, and they will try to become the master of the family. So that is the rule for the golden snub-nosed monkeys. So right now here you can see this is a family of the snub-nosed monkey. Yes, indeed. So this is the male monkey, and he is the master of this family, and also you can see his wives and also some of the infant monkeys. So what about the age of this male monkey? I would say it will about 12 to 13 years old, so they can live up to 20 years old. So for the male monkey, I would say he is quite senior. So what about the age of the other family members? I would say it's about 8 to 10 years old. So here you can see, if you look at the forest, so we can see the trees is not that green and lush. But the outside of this area, I would say it is quite lush. Maybe that relates to the living habits of the snub-nosed monkeys. So as they live in these places, they will actually damage some of the trees. For on the other side, if we don't have so many snub-nosed monkeys, and then we can see we will have a much more spacious and lush spaces. Because for some monkeys, they would like to eat some of the insects, and also they will eat trees, leaves, and they will have to get some proteins, so they will catch birds or some insects for their food. So as we know, we have so many snub-nosed monkeys available here, but still we have to protect the trees and the forest. So what measures can we take to protect the wildlife? For example, the trees, how can we protect those trees and the forest? So for the snub-nosed monkeys, they will migrate from time to time. So when we notice when they move to other places, we will do some of the conservation work to protect the forest. So I would say for the snub-nosed monkeys, they love sunlight. For example, today we have pretty good weather, so you can see they all come here. But when they take a rest, they would tend to live on the trees. So for the golden snub-nosed monkeys, they like to live in groups, and they would like to take rest all together on the trees. So what is their favorite temperature? I would say they prefer spring and autumn, because at that time the temperature is moderate. And they would like to live under the elevation of 1,500 meters. So they tend to live in the moderate weather. Now I can see the color of the fur. Will they change? Actually, in autumn, their furs are very beautiful. It's pure golden. But in this time, I would say they will change the color. Do they change their furs from time to time? Well, that depends on the weather and also the age, and then they will change the hair and furs. What kind of the considerations or the factors that will affect the color of the fur? I would say mostly they will consider the age. So age is the key factor affecting the color. So when they're young, when they're in the infant age, so the color is quite dark and gray. When they grow up, and then the color will change into gold. And then also you can hear the sound and the voices of the snub-nosed monkeys. They have their own language systems. So we try to interpret their languages. I would say they have over like 20 categories or dialects of their languages. And when they encounter danger or challenges, maybe they will use a different sound. Here you can see they communicate with each other. For example, they will say, here we have food, and come here, and they will have a different type of voice. And if they run into danger, and then they will have another voice or the sound and try to communicate with their peers. So in this place, you can see for the trees, they're not that tall. And for these snub-nosed monkeys, they love trees. And they like to rest in any kind of trees. If they feel very cold, and then they will go up to the trees. And they will rest on the top of the tree, and then they will hop each other. And just like little elves, and they will hug each other and try to get warm. But if the temperature is too high, and then they will go down from the trees. So that depends on the temperature. Because if they go up to the trees when they went into some of the adverse weather conditions, and for the tree leaves will protect them. And when the weather gets extremely cold, they will actually go to the mountains and try to find a shelter. So I would say this place and or the mountains actually they're shelters for the snub-nosed monkeys. I would say this is a parent of the snub-nosed monkey. So for the parents of the monkeys, so my question is, So between the monkeys or animals, do they have some rules? For example, how they operate, how they run their family? Well, they have their own rules. So if they are very strong, for example, the male monkey is very strong, and he will try to protect the safety of the whole family. But within the family, they are quite harmony. So it is a very loving family. So for the infant monkey, you can see some of the relatives of the families will try to take care of the infant monkey. So even though I would say for the male monkey, even they have a polygamous mating system, but still for his wives, they are getting along with each other. There are not much rules. But outside of this family, if there's other monkeys attacking the family, and then the master of the owner of the family or the male monkey, he will try to fight back. So when I came here, I also noticed some of the posters. I can see for a family of the snub-nosed monkeys, we also have, for example, aunties or some of the relatives of the family will come back to take care of the infant monkey. For some of the female monkeys, if they found one or two infant monkeys left behind, and then the other female monkeys will come near the infant monkeys and take care of them. So does this behavior apply to snub-nosed monkeys exclusively or to other animals? So I would say this is exclusive to the snub-nosed monkeys. Do they have any migration of the snub-nosed monkeys? Yes, indeed, they will move to other places. So in this place, because we are a R&D center, so we actually provide the spaces to the snub-nosed monkeys. But from time to time, in other places in the Shennongjia, we also see some of the wild snub-nosed monkeys. So do they have specific time for the migration? So as far as we know, they will not go to places above 1,500 meters of the elevation. And they are actually afraid of human beings. And for some of the high altitude places, for example, above 2,000 meters, they will not go there because that is too cold for the snub-nosed monkeys. They are not able to collect food and not beneficial to our daily life. So they are actually living together in certain places with certain altitude. So when is the time for the migration occurs? So I would say it's about in springtime. They will start the migration. They will try to find the food, and then they will migrate together, and they will go to anywhere they want, especially in spring. Because in spring, you know, all life comes back alive, and it is quite abundant for the food. So they will move to other places during the migration. So this is all about the temperature changes and also some of their personal requirement. For example, they need to find food. Still, they are quite active and lively. So what about in winter? So most of the time for the snub-nosed monkeys, they would like to stay on the trees. They will also sleep on the trees. So from 8 to 10 o'clock, it is the time for them to find food. For about 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., they also find food. And at noon, they also will take a nap on the trees. So about 6 to 7 p.m., they will also go up to the trees and take a sleep. I would say it is quite a routine for the snub-nosed monkeys. So on a daily basis, they will take food 2 times. Do they have any favorite food? So here we can see they love all of these leaves. and they will take the tree leaves as their food. So on a family basis, what is the maximum amount of the members of the snub-nosed monkeys? So in our base, I would say for the largest family, they have about like 17 monkeys together. And basically, we have like 1 male monkeys and several female monkeys. Well, that depends on the male monkey. That depends on how many wives he has. 17 members for one family. I would say that is quite a large family. Yes, 17 is the average, and also for some other monkey families, they have like over 20 members. And also from time to time, some of the snub-nosed monkeys, they will escape for their original family and try to find another family. All in all, that depends on the capability and the strength of the master or the owner of the family. So what about the age of this infant monkey? 2 months. It's quite young. Just look at the fur. It's in a dark or the gray color when they grow up, and then the fur will turn gold. And also I can see for the face, it is in a blue color. For the snub-nosed monkeys, it is in a blue color face. And also they are quite curious. And sometimes when I try to take a photo of this infant monkey, they will try to grab my mobile phone. You can see they can eat anything. They like to eat the trees and the tree leaves. And also this infant monkey, they try to get some food and give it to his mother. So for these young infant monkeys, what kind of food they love? They just bud and tree leaves because they are mammals, and also for the infant monkeys, they also take the mother's breast milk. So they will eat nuts because they are too young. They are not able to digest the nut. So for this mother monkey, I would say her age is about 7 to 8 years old. So when this infant monkey can be independent on his own. So after 7 days of the birth, and then for the mother monkey will set the infant monkey free and try to practice his or her agility. And after they get to the age of 1 to 2 years old, and then they're able to move around and try to live independently. But when they run into dangers, they will try to go back to the mother. But if the environment is safe, and then they will walk around and try to play around with his friends. But here now you can see we have human beings here, and then for these infant monkeys, we'll try to go back and find his mother. And sometimes they have very lovely behavior. For example, they will sneeze just like human beings. And just now we get to know some of the basic behaviors of the snub-nosed monkeys, and also we get to know how all of these monkey families runs. Here you can see for some of these snub-nosed monkeys, they are playing around. And this is my part in the Dalongtan snub-nosed monkey in Shennongjia. So stay tuned with us. We will go to the next stop. So here we are coming to the Dajiuhu wetland, and also we are glad to be joined by one of the experts here. And here we will visit the garden of the deer. So Miss Tan, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm a work staff from the garden of the deer. In this place, you can see I just see a Sika deer right in front of me. So this is a female Sika deer. So just look at the fur of the Sika deer. It's quite rough. So why is that? So for the color of the fur will change with the weather. For example, in winter they will try to get warm, and also they will have like growing some of the white fur, and also they will have some dots in summertime. So on the back you can see some of the lines on the Sika deer. Is it normal or because of the change of the fur? Well, I would say that is quite regular for the color of the fur. It is quite diverse of the color of the Sika deer. Is it the time for them to change the fur for this season? So now it is the time they change their fur, because in winter we cannot see some of these like white dots. So when you're seeing these white dots, meaning that they are starting to change the fur. And in summertime, for this Sika deer, and it will become the real Sika deer. For example, you can see a very clear white dots. So when they start to change the fur, so from March or April each year, so right now they're still in the middle of the time for changing the fur. So you just said this is a female Sika deer. So among the species of the Sika deer, so how they live? So what are some of their habits? For example, how many deer they have in one typical family? For the Sika deer, they also like to tend to live in groups, and also they are applying the polygamous mating system. We have like one male Sika deer and also several female Sika deer. So can we say it is quite a stable relations? So for example, for the male Sika deer, will they be challenged by other male Sika deer? Yes, indeed. That's why they fight always. So here we can see we have a female Sika deer and also some of the younger age Sika deer. Can you tell us how they breed? The pregnancy time for the female Sika deer is about 8 months, and so for each year they also gave birth to only one Sika deer on an annual basis, just very similar to human beings. So what about this one? So what is the approximately what is the age for this Sika deer? It's about 1 or 2 months. So right now it's at the noontime. I think they're taking a nap. So they would like to move around in morning time or at dawn. So they would like to go out at a relatively moderate temperature. So here now you can see this is the male Sika deer, and also we can see these antlers. So I would say he is the master or the owner of this family. And also I would say he is 3 or 4 years old. And each year they will actually change the velvet antlers every year. And also we will check the size to determine the gender of this Sika deer. I would say for the male Sika deer, they are more stronger than the female Sika deer. If we look at the color of the male Sika deer, I would say it is quite dark. Is it because of the age or the gender? So right now, for the male Sika deer, he has completed the time of the change of the fur. So why is that? Do they have a different time or different season to change the fur? That depends. For this male Sika deer, if they are afraid of the coldness, and then they will start to grow more furs to protect themselves. So how many times they eat? They will take meals like 3 times a day. Just like human beings, they have like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Do they have a routine schedule to take food? They're quite routine. And from time to time, we also have some of the visitors. They will also give some food to the Sika deer. So at around like 4 to 5 p.m., I would say they're quite full. So what is the amount of the food they will have? So on a daily basis, and they will eat about like 200 or the 300 grams of the food per day. So do we allow visitors to give food to the Sika deer? Yes, and we will provide hay, or also we will provide corns to the visitors. Any tips to share with the visitors? So this is the garden of the deer, and we also have some of the parents, and also they will bring the kids here. So we will give the reminders to the parents, and we will not give the food to the kids. We need to have the parents to take care of the food. And also we will remind some of the kids and do not come near to the Sika deer and do not touch them physically, because for the Sika deer, they are quite alert. When they feel danger, and maybe they will attack, and this will also hurt the kids. So do not stand behind the Sika deer. So that is my part in the garden of the deer, and also we unveil the mystery of Sika deer. Thank you very much for the interpretation. Thank you. So you may notice behind me in the mountains, we have these small houses on the mountains. What are they? What are some of the functions? Please stay tuned with us. Maybe you can also leave a comment to have a guess. Here we will have a special guest joining us, and also an interpreter from Shennongjia National Park. And also he will try us to unveil some of the amazing wildlife of Shennongjia. So first of all, Ms. Hai, maybe you can answer some of the questions from our viewers. So can you tell us more about the information of this cliff? So here you can see small boxes here, and this is actually the nest of the Chinese honeybee. And for the Chinese honeybee is exclusive in China, and also it have the history of over 70,000 years. And here we have seen that we have the nest here, and we also put all of this nest on top of the cliffs and mountains. And here we will try to protect all of these Chinese honeybee. We don't want to have, like, for example, the black bear to steal the honeybees and also to damage the houses for the honeybees. And in this place, you can see the environment is quite good, and also it can help for all of these Chinese honeybees to find honeys. And of course, all in all, we just want to protect the safety of the Chinese honeybee and also help them to produce honey. So that's the reason why we set up these like vertical boxes and the next for the Chinese honeybees. So we all know that for the honeybees, they can produce a very high quality honey, but low in quantity. And a lot of people ask the question, what about the quality of the honey that is produced by the Chinese honeybee? That's for sure, they have a very good quality of the honey, and they only collect the honey one time in a year. And for all of these honeys, they actually have gather together all the different types of the plants in the Shennongjia area. So I would say this honey is very high quality. And also for the family structure of the honeybee is quite unique. So, for example, we have the queen of the honeybee, and also we have the male honeybee. And so for each one of the nest, we only have one female or the queen of the honeybee. She can live up to like 5 years old. And as I just mentioned that for their family structures, it is a matriarchal system, and that means they have like very few male honeybees, so they will not protect the nest. So for their roles, they try to mate with the queen and also to reproduce their offsprings. Actually, here you can see for each one of the boxes, each one of the nests, we have over like 50,000 of the male honeybees. On one hand, they have to mate with the queen, and also they will try to collect the honeys, and also they have to work very diligently to collect the honey, and in the end, and they will die because of the exhaustion. So I would say for the male honeybee, they have a very good functionality, and also they are very diligent. They have to do most of the job for collecting the honey. And later on, we will come close to the nest to have a closer look of the Chinese honeybee. So first, we will put on all of these like protective suits, and also to see how this Chinese honeybee works. So now we will visit the nest to see what's inside of the nest. So what is the difference from the structure of the nest? Well, in general, the structure is somewhat similar. So we just give a shell, and for the honeybees, it is their work to create their homes. This is a research base, and here you can see we have to check the production of the honey of the honeybees. So, for example, for our human side, we just like give some of the brick and mortar. We just gave them a structure. And for all the other work, we will left to the honeybees. So if we build a nest for the honeybees, and then they have more energies to collect the honeys. So just take this one. So from this side, I would say this is the front door of this nest. So for this honeybees, they are staying inside of the nest, and also they are connecting the nectars. So for the door, you can see we try to consider the size of the honeybees. to make sure that no other insects or other animals will enter into their homes. So now I would like to open this cover. So for this nest, you can see we have so many honeybees, and they're actually collecting many nectars. We have like 3 layers or 3 categories of this nest. So this year after spring, and for these honeybees, they starting their efforts to collect the nectars. In Shennongjia area, so on a daily basis, they only collect the nectars 1 time for a year. So right now you can see the flowers are booming and blooming, and now we have set up more nests here. So we also have to considering the blossom season in Shennongjia, so maybe in July and August. So that is the peak season for the Chinese honeybee to collect the nectar. Stay tuned with us, and we will move to another place. And just now, we got to know about the Chinese honeybees, and now we will check some of the fishes here. So now we are still coming to a R&D center in Shennongjia National Park. And here we will check some of the local fishes here. So now we are in the Guanmenshan R&D center, and here we will give you some more information about the high altitude cold water fish, and this is a quoted breeding areas. And Shennongjia, I would say this is a very special place. We have good quality of the water and the air, and we have like over 370 branches of the rivers in the Shennongjia. We have very good quality of the water, and also the categories, I would say it is a level 1 quality of the water, and also the temperature of the water is about like 6 to 8 Celsius degree. According to our statistics, we have about like 52 species of the cold water fishes available here. Here we can see we have like this black fish. So this is a local fish in Shennongjia. And here we would say they have this fish, and we would say they have a terminal mouth, and that's why we call them the fish with the terminal mouth. So they will take some of the mosses as their food. So here, if we look from the upward side, you cannot see the mouth because their mouths are in a terminal position, and also they will take the algae as their food. So for this kind of the terminal mouth fish, they will also tend to live in groups, and also they have a very strict requirement of the quality of the water. And so for most of the cold water fish available in Shennongjia, and they will tend to live in a very high quality water resources, and also we will check the water's quality on an annual basis. If we are able to find some of these cold water fishes available, meaning that the water's quality is quite good. And later on, we will find another kind of the fish in this place. So just now, when we see some of the terminal mouths, we are not able to find in the shallow spaces. But now we are trying to find some of the Mandarin fish. So what about this one? So this fish is coming from the Yangtze River, and also we are able to see some of the salmons that is coming from the Yangtze River. And here we also try to introduce some of the foreign type of the fishes here to see whether they can live in Shennongjia. So here for the Yangtze Mandarin fish, I would say they are not able to reproduce the offsprings. What about this one? So this is a level 1 endangered species protected in China, and also this is a Chinese sturgeon, and it is very famous in China. And also if you look at the sturgeons, you can see it is pretty much boneless. So for the larger size of the sturgeons, and also they can reach to a weight at around 800 kilograms. So you can see for these sturgeons, they are still at a younger age, at about like 5 years old. So for the Chinese sturgeons, some of them they can live up to 40 years old or even 60 to 70 years old. They have very long expectations in life. So right now we are checking like 2 types of fishes. One is a cold water fish, the terminal mouse fish, and also the Chinese sturgeon. What about this one? So this is a koi, and of course you know that koi is also introduced from foreign countries. We are just like trying to see whether these like foreign species can live and get adapted to Shennongjia. And together with the koi, and we are able to see the Yangtze salmon. And locally, we can actually call them a local salmon fish. And you can see the appearance is in darker color, and also they will tend to live in the fresh water. I have a question. For this like Yangtze salmon, they live with the koi together. Can they get along with each other? It seems like they're quite good with each other. But they do have like different living habits. For example, for the koi, they need higher temperature of the water, for example, 20 to 30 Celsius degree. But for the Yangtze salmon, they don't need that high temperature. But for koi, it is quite beautiful because it is quite bright in color. And here we still can see a huge amount of the Yangtze Mandarin fish, or what we call the Yangtze salmon fish. And in this pond, we can see a whole pond of the Yangtze salmon. Why we want to raise so many Yangtze salmon? Well, I would say they have a very fast reproduction rate. That's why we have a larger quantity for some of these fishes. I would say they will adapt to the local environment, and also for the Yangtze salmon, they are actually found and raised in China, so they are quite adapted to the local conditions. Now we are coming to a mysterious place, and I would say this is the most amazing wildlife of Shennongjia. And also that is the star of the Shennongjia National Park. So here we have this like very unique fish here. This is the Chinese giant salamander. So the reason why we call them, in Chinese, we call it a baby fish, also the Chinese giant salamander, it is because when they try to make a voice, just like a baby crying. Except for the sound, if we look closer to this salamander, and if you look at the shape of the salamander, and it is pretty much like a newborn infant or the newborn baby. Even though we call it a fish, but actually it is not theoretically fish. It is not categorized as a fish. Instead, it is considered as an amphibian. So for this kind of fish, it already existing also like 360 million years ago, back in the ancient times. So I would say for this kind of the giant salamander, it existed together with the dinosaur. You all know that for the dinosaur already extinguished, but for the giant salamander, even though it looks quite weak, but it can exist until today. So for this kind of the giant salamander, you can see it is in a very still position. So I would say they do have their wisdom for living. I would say they will have many wisdom or advantages for living. So as I just said, for the giant salamander, they are actually amphibian, so they can live in the water and also they can live on the ground. So when they breathe, it is not depend on the lungs. They can actually breathe depending on their skin. And 80% of their breath actually depend on their skin, and 20% of the breath depends on their mouth. And they also have some like blood tubes and also some of the systems in the mouth to help them to breathe. And on some certain occasions, they can also use the lungs for the breath. So for the Chinese giant salamander, so when they live, they also need to have a very good quality of the water resources. And if we check the skin of the salamander, we have to make sure that they can have a complete or saturated contact with the oxygen. And also for the Chinese giant salamanders, and they will try to start the reproduction in July and August. And also the salamander are called or known as the super dad because their job is to protect the eggs that have been produced by the female salamander. And for this kind of the reproduction procedures, we do have some of the advantages for this salamander. For the female salamander, and she do not have to take care of the babies and the eggs, so she can take the rest, and also the male salamanders will take the responsibility. So two key reasons. First, they are amphibia, and the second, the division of the duties of the female and the male giant salamander, and also they have a very magical digestion system. So on the one time, they're able to fight with hunger. So for example, if they can take enough food for one time, and then they don't have to take food for 1 or 2 years. But the precondition is that they have to live in a very extremely clean water resources. So that's the differences between the survival skills of the salamander and the dinosaur. And also for some of the salamanders, and if some of the limbs are damaged, and then they can actually reproduce the limbs. And that said, they have very strong survival skills, and also you can see their healing abilities is extremely strong. So in this place, you can see we are in a very dark place. Do we say that for the giant salamanders, they love like dark places? And this is the R&D center. First of all, we will provide the conditions for the visitors to have a look of the giant salamander. So if we do not have visitors, and then we will turn all the lights off so that for the giant salamanders, they can take a rest. All right, and then we will leave this place, and then they can continue to take a rest. So right now we are coming to a bird observation site, and here we have a small shelter here. We are together with a number of the birders, and then they can observe the behavior of the birds. And today we are glad to be joined by the head of the Bird Observation Association of Shennongjia, Mr. Chen. Can you tell us more about these places? So as we just mentioned at the hero, we are actually trying to observe a different number of the birds here. For example, some of the teeming tragopan and also some of the golden pheasant. And I would say morning time or about like 5 p.m., it is a perfect time for us to observe the teeming tragopans. What is the behavior of the tragopan? So for the teeming tragopan, I would say they are able to come out at about like 4 to 5 p.m. So that is their behavior. So in the morning time, they will try to find the water resources. They need to drink water and find the food. And also in this season, they're quite active. In about like September and October, they will hide into the forest. Because in September and October, it is quite cold. And they also see they have a lot of like bird of prey and also some of the predators outside. So they will not come out. So if we stay here for example, 1 or 2 days, how many of the teeming tragopan can we observe? So that depends on the time. Well, I would say that so right now it is the perfect time. So maybe we can find 2 or 3 tragopan or 1 tragopan at least, because right now it is the mating season. So we are seeing some of the male tragopans, they will fight with each other. But in September or October, we are not able to see most of the tragopans. So how many eggs can be produced by the tragopans in May or June? Can you tell us more about the breeding or the hatching habits of the tragopan? I would say on each time, for the female tragopan, they will produce about like 8 eggs on one time. 6 to 8 eggs. How many times for the hatching period? So when they start to produce eggs, and they will start to produce eggs in about like April. And then they will hatch the eggs. And the hatching time is about half a month, 15 days. And after half a month, So for some of the young tragopans, Tamils tragopans, and maybe they're not able to find the food, right? Maybe they depend on the parents. Yes. And actually, for the family, and for example, for the female tragopan, the mother tragopan, and she will fly with the babies and also to find the food. And they will try trying to find some of the insects, some of the nuts, the mollusk, or some of the grass. So I would say they can eat a lot of things, and they will try to find all the available food in the mountains. As you just mentioned, another bird that is the golden pheasant. So do we see any similarities in the behavior for the golden pheasant as opposed to the Tamex tragopan? So I would say for the food, it is pretty much alike. So as we all say, for these like two birds, they are all in like the red-breasted. So what is the reason? Because they have this fur of the red color. Is it because of the environment or the other factors that are affecting the color or the appearance of these two birds? They are quite bright in color. So what is the reason? Because I think if their color is too bright, they cannot hide themselves. Well, I would say for the male pheasant or the male tragopan, they are more brighter than the female birds. And also for the male birds, they have longer tails. And for the other part of the appearance, they pretty much look like the female birds. So what is the length of the tail? So for the white crested long-tailed pheasant, the tail can be reached about like 2 meters maximum. So that is quite a large size of the white crested long-tailed pheasant. So on one hand, we can consider or define the species of the bird. So what other factors can we consider? Can we, for example, define their age by looking at their size? We can check the color of the birds, and then we can confirm the age, and also we will check the color and also to define the age. So for example, for the Tamex tragopan, if they have a very colorful feather, and also if we look at the crest, and this can also have some like impact of the age of the tragopan. And also if they have a very long feet or the long legs, and also you can see they're quite senior in age. So can you tell us about the relations, for example, the brightness of the color and the age of the bird? Well, if they are getting older, and then we can see the color is more bright or more dark. So for example, in this photo, you can see this is a male tragopan. So you always talk about that for the male birds, they are more bright in color. Why is that? Well, they have to show off their beauty and to attract the female birds, and this is more relating to the mating system. So when observe the birds, can you give some of the tips to the birders, like how to capture or to observe all of these birds? So first of all, you have to stay quiet and do not disturb the environment for these birds, and also for us and for our outfits, and we make sure that we need to have some of we can wear some of the camouflage outfits, so it feels like we are very similar to the nature so that we will not disturb all of the birds and the ecological environment. So that comes to the end of our live coverage. Thank you.